But are we winning the war?
Absolutely.
Okay, so do you call Iran closing the Strait of Hormuz winning?
Well, I would say
every effort to come to a ceasefire is highly needed, not only because the blockage and the attacks on the Strait of Hormuz are affecting every part around the world. Oil prices are going up, fertilizer prices are going up. One country has even declared a state of energy emergency. What happens in one part of the world affects everyone everywhere.
But in the interim, the 18 months, especially the next 12 months, we have to bear the cost of the high energy prices.
Secretary Hegseth, you have been lying to the American public about this war from day one, and so has the President. You have misled the public about why we are at war. You and the President have offered ever-changing reasons for this war. You've misled the public about the progress of the war. While the military has executed this war with tactical success, the strategy has been an astounding incompetence. The military has executed this war with tactical success. The strategy has been an outstanding. This war of choice is a political and economic disaster at every level. Despite the President's promise to lower the cost of living, gas prices are up 40%, and inflation is soaring, so much for lowering the cost of living. The President has got himself and America stuck in the quagmire of another war in the Middle East. He's desperately trying to extricate himself from his own mistakes.
don't say I support the troops on one hand and then a 2-month mission is a quagmire. That's a false equivalation. Who are you cheering for here? Who are you pulling for? Our troops are doing incredible work. They've done incredible things for the entirety of this mission and achieved incredible battlefield successes. And you sit there and go on TV for your clickbait about quagmires. It undermines the mission. Your hatred for President Trump blinds you to the truth of the success of this mission and the historic stakes that the President is addressing, which the American people support.
How is this war going? Do you think we're winning?
Militarily on the battlefield, it's been an astounding military success.
No, but are we winning the war?
Absolutely.
Okay, so do you call Iran closing the Strait of Hormuz winning?
Well, I would say the blockade that we hold that doesn't allow anything to come in or out of Iranian ports.
Okay, so we've blockaded their blockade. So they blockaded us, and then we blockaded their blockade. That's like saying, tag, you're it. Or, you know, if President Madison had said, well, the British just burned down Washington, but don't worry, we're going to burn it down as well.
Do you know how much it will cost Americans in terms of their increased cost in gas and food over the next year because of the Iran war?
I would simply ask you what the cost is of an Iranian nuclear bomb.
I'm going to give you that opportunity.
I would simply ask you what the... you're playing gotcha questions about
no,
domestic things. I'm not...
You're saying it's a gotcha question to ask what it's going to be in terms of the increased cost of gas.
Why won't you answer what it costs to prevent Iran from getting a nuclear bomb?
I give you that, sir. But let me...
What would it cost? What would you pay to ensure Iran doesn't get a nuclear bomb? What would you pay?
I reclaim my time. Do you not know? You had no one do the analysis of what the increased cost of gas and food on the American people are going to be?
What is the cost of Iran holding that straight at issue with nuclear weapons?
It's $631 billion, which means it's an increase of $5,000 a year for American households.
General George, let's talk about a guy who's a patriot, somebody who every single person here in this dais and down there in that audience and out there in this world has huge admiration for. Why did he get fired?
Well, as with any moves we make with general officers, first of all, I thank them for their service, and ultimately...
My impression is you thanked him by a text or a phone call. You didn't even do it to his face.
Out of respect for these officers, we never talk about the nature of their removal, but every one of them, including myself, knows that they serve at the pleasure of the president.
Him?
Ultimately, out of respect to these officers, we don't reveal it. However, I will note, it's very difficult to change the culture of a department that was been destroyed by the wrong perspectives.
So you think General George destroyed a culture?
There are many, we've gotten rid of many general officers in this administration because we need new leadership.
You have no way of explaining why you fired one of the most decorated and remarkable men who's
we
ever
needed
served
new
this
leadership.
nation.
That's
And
my
so your answer is a very immature way of responding to my
We cannot forecast lower oil prices without the current situation being sorted out. So once this situation sorts out, the flows resume from Hormuz, we have to give it another, we believe, 4 to 5 months, because it would take another 4 to 5 months to restore all the supply lines across West Asia, do the demining operation in Hormuz, all those things. So let's say by next year, then we could see the prices once again structurally head lower. It's not that the prices will stay above $100 throughout this year, but I'm saying it will come back towards $80 and stabilize there. So we need at least by mid of next year, 2027, that we will see the impact. And with UAE now stepping out, and we expect the rest of the OPEC also to pump up supplies, and the Iran might come back online. We might see Russian crude come back online in the market over the next 18 months. So overall, the oil prices then will structurally head lower, because once the Iran problems sorts out, I think a major geopolitical premium which was existing in the oil market for the last 5 decades, it vanishes. But it's only after the complete resolution of the Iran problem, right? So then we could see a structurally lower energy prices, which is going to be very positive for India's economic growth and the overall inflation situation. But in the interim, the 18 months, especially the next 12 months, we have to bear the cost of the high energy prices.
No country, regardless of its size or strength, can address today's complex global challenges alone. From climate change and global health pandemics like COVID, to the global economic impact of wars as seen with the Russian invasion of Ukraine, or the closing of the Strait of Hormuz, what happens in one part of the world affects everyone, everywhere. Therefore, complying with international law and the delivery on the Sustainable Development Goals is not optional, but in the interest of all of us.
The United Arab Emirates announced on Tuesday that it will leave OPEC on May 1st, stripping the oil cartel of one of its largest producers. The move could weaken OPEC's leverage over global oil supplies and prices. The decision stems from the UAE's unease over OPEC production restrictions, which it felt were too low, meaning it was unable to sell as much oil as it wanted. Additionally, the UAE has had increasingly frosty relations with Saudi Arabia, OPEC's largest producer, over political and economic matters in the region. The differences came under further strain during the Iran war. What could be the impact of UAE's decision on global oil supply chains? Analysts say it's unlikely to have immediate effects on markets. That's because oil supplies have been sharply disrupted by the war in Iran, largely due to the country's closure of the Strait of Hormuz, the narrow waterway which carried 1/5 of global oil supplies during peacetime. Much of the UAE's oil exports transit through this route. OPEC's influence in global oil markets has been waning in recent years, with the United States ramping up crude oil production. Analysts believe the UAE's decision could add to overall global oil supply once peace returns to West Asia. Saudi Arabia has been producing around 10 million barrels of oil per day, while the United States produces over 13 million barrels per day.